FastMCP 2 employs dependency injection to resolve runtime values, enabling functions to declare dependencies through type annotations or default parameters without manual context passing. This mechanism ensures clean function signatures while providing access to necessary runtime context, such as HTTP request data. In the upcoming code, you'll observe how a utility function retrieves the client's IP address by leveraging the injected HTTP request object, demonstrating the seamless integration of dependency injection in FastMCP 2. From FastMCP server dependencies, import get HTTP request. Def get client IP SDR. Request equals get HTTP request. Return request client host if request client else, unknown. This utility function demonstrates FastMCP's dependency injection system for accessing HTTP request data outside of tool contexts. The getClientIP function retrieves the current HTTP request using getHTTPRequest, then extracts the client's IP address from the request's client attribute. This pattern follows FastMCP's approach of providing runtime context through dependency functions rather than direct parameter injection. The implementation shows a graceful fallback pattern, returning unknown when the client information isn't available. This is particularly useful when the code might execute outside an HTTP context, such as during testing or when using non-HTTP transports. The function's simplicity belies its importance in the framework's architecture, as it provides a consistent way to access request-specific data across different execution contexts while maintaining clean function signatures. Let's break it down line by line. From FastMCP server dependencies, import get HTTP request. Imports the get HTTP request function from the FastMCP server dependencies module, providing access to HTTP request handling functionality within the FastMCP 2 framework. Def get client IP SDR declares a function named getClientIP that returns a string value. The function signature indicates it will retrieve and return a client's IP address as a string when called. Request equals get HTTP request. Calls the get HTTP request function and assigns its return value to a variable named request. The function appears to retrieve or construct an HTTP request object, though the specific implementation details aren't visible in this line. The request variable will hold whatever object or data structure the function returns. Return request client host if request client else, unknown. Returns the client's host from the request object if the client exists, otherwise returns the string unknown. This is a conditional expression that checks for the presence of a client attribute on the request object before attempting to access its host property. FastMCP 2's dependency injection system shines in this utility function, where getHTTPRequest provides seamless access to runtime context without cluttering function signatures. The getClientIP implementation demonstrates the framework's design philosophy: clean interfaces with graceful fallbacks. By importing the dependency function and using a simple conditional return, the code maintains robustness across different execution contexts, whether handling live HTTP requests or operating in test environments. The pattern here, declaring dependencies through function calls rather than parameters, keeps the architecture flexible while ensuring request-specific data remains accessible. This approach exemplifies how FastMCP 2 balances simplicity with power, letting developers focus on logic while the framework handles context management.
The server whispers your IP to the void, then pretends it never heard you.